Hello YouTube, Colorful Coats here. Welcome back to my channel. I just want to welcome all of my new subscribers. Thank you so much. I know a lot of you saw me interview on the Come Up with Bacola, so I really appreciate you for joining, and I really want to just thank Bacola for letting me come and share my story on her platform. So after that video, I got some requests in Instagram and Twitter, and I'd ask you what you all wanted to see, and also on LinkedIn too. And some people, they told me that they were really moved by my story, and a lot of them felt like they were going to give up after they saw my story. It just reminded them that it's possible to get there because they've been having a rough time. So basically I wanted to do this video about how to stay motivated, because that's what a lot of people had asked me to give advice on, how to stay motivated in the job hunt, learning to program, looking for a job. That's the main one that people were asking for. So I thought I would come and share all of my advice that I could think of. It was actually hard to begin with, and then after a while of thinking, I was like, wait, actually there's a lot of things that motivated me. And then I ended up coming up with 11 things. So I just wanted to share them all with you because I know it's been very hard for a lot of people, especially with during COVID. And I know with my journey, even though I sometimes feel like I'm an anomaly with how long it took me, there's people out there who it took them the same amount of time. Some of them it took them even longer. But there's hope at the end of the day that you can go from someone without a computer science degree or a STEM background, or if you didn't go to a top school or whatever, you can make it into the industry. And yeah, like me, a software developer at Microsoft. So I'm just going to give you some advice on what I think. So feel free to get your notes ready. So I made a list of things, so I'm going to be reading down the list. So the first thing that kept me motivated was knowing that there's space in the tech industry. So you always hear about the skill shortage in tech, and for a while I was like, when I was job hunting, I was like, there is no space. I've been applying for jobs forever. There's no space. And the reality is that the entry-level market is pretty flooded, but the higher you go, the more space there is and the more opportunity there is. And as long as you keep on leveling up your skills, you always know that there's security there in the industry for you. Once you're in, you're in. And there's so many different areas of tech that you can move into, like software development, data science, DevOps, network engineering. There's just so many things, like cloud security. I know KPMG, they did a study, and they said that for 2019, a lot of businesses had a skill shortage, 67%, at an all-time high of 67%. And the top 3 scarcest skills were in data and analytics, in AI, and in cybersecurity, which is what I want to move into eventually. So yeah, so when I was job hunting for a long time, I knew that even though it's hard for me now, there's just so much space because it's so in demand. And it's always going to be hard to get your first job, period. Some people, they get it easily, but for most people, getting your first job is hard. But once you're in, you're going to be in for a minute. Don't give up hope, because the demand is there, and you have a very rare skill set. The second thing is pay. So this is the main motivator. When I was job hunting, I didn't really care about pay, even though I knew that at some point in my career I would make 6 figures. I didn't expect my first job to make 6 figures. It does. And it's crazy. My whole life completely changed. You all saw me when I paid off all of my loans at one time with just relocation and a signing bonus. And I got the smallest signing bonus. There's people who got 40K signing bonus more than I did. And just the salary. I take my parents grocery shopping all the time. I pay rent even though they don't ask me to. I invest 36% of my income is investments, and I don't even feel it like I could still buy what I want and invest money for my future and not even feel it. It's crazy. Like making so much money that you kind of don't know what to do with. Yeah. And I saw a guy named Ebsco. Ebco? I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I follow him on LinkedIn and in his Facebook group. And he works at Uber, and he makes $475,000 a year. And he's a senior engineer. You're not just going to be handed a salary like that. But he worked for it, and he basically shared in the Facebook group his paycheck because he wanted to let us know like what was possible. And there was a point in time where I just thought like 150K, okay, like, well, I'm assuming that that's the highest that software developers make. And then I'm meeting people who make like 250K. Like in Bacola's video, she made 210K. Like those numbers to me are like, whoa. And the fact that he can make 475K, like more than a lot of doctors. Like my friend is in medical school. She put in work like hours and hours and years, and her salary won't even be that high. And the fact that you can work in a top tech company and make that is great. And then there's companies like Uber, Stripe, Pinterest, Google, Facebook that pay like insane. So yeah, like, and there's space. Like not everyone is going to get into a top tech company on their first try, but I feel like everyone has a shot at getting in and experiencing it at some point in their life. So that's like the second best thing is the pay. So the third advice that I would give is to find stories like yours. Like sometimes when I first started out, I felt like there weren't that many stories like me. Like most of the people that I saw, they did a 3-month boot camp, they had a STEM background, and they got a job really fast. Or they went to a top school and they got a job really fast. It was very hard to find people who took as long as I did, or who came, from a completely liberal arts background, or I don't know, like 2016 is a lot different from 2021. Like now, in 2020, when I was on Twitter, I saw so many people with stories like mine sharing about how it took them a while and then they got into the industry. Like people who are in their 60s who got a job. People who are moms who took career breaks who got a job. A guy named Danny Thompson, he worked as a fry cook. And now he's a software developer making 6 figures. And Taylor Alexis on Twitter, she worked at a restaurant. She didn't go to college. She worked at a fast food restaurant, and she has like thousands of YouTube, Twitter followers, and she makes 6 figures. Well, I don't know how much she makes, but I know she's a software developer. And there's other people that I know, like in Microsoft Leap, my friend Nixon, he graduated with a tech degree. It wasn't exactly computer science, but he did Revature afterwards, and he failed. He got kicked out. So at the time, he felt so down because he thought that like, oh wow, I got kicked out of this program. I'm never going to make it. So he ended up working with kids for 2 years, making a very small salary, long hours, and then he retried again, and he did a boot camp. In 2020, he got an offer from another job, and then he got into Microsoft Leap. And of everyone in the program in Microsoft Leap, he got the highest offer, the highest level. Well, someone else got the high level too, but like 90% of us all got, the lowest level, and he got the level above that. And his team respects him so much, and he works so hard. And he's like a great representation of what Microsoft Leap wants other Microsoft engineers to see us as. Like really hard workers, really ambitious, and yeah, like, and keep in mind that Revature is a company that's known to take people with a pulse. And he failed out, but he didn't give up. He tried again. And there's lots of stories like his. So don't think that because you failed at one point, you're going to fail again. And the same thing with another girl that I know at Leap. It took her 7 years. And she went through ups and downs. She had 2 internships. She did a boot camp, a contract. She finally got a job offer that paid her $12 an hour. and it crashed after 6 months. And I remember when she first joined, she was just like, I hope I get a job because it's exhausting. And she got into Microsoft, and it took her a while, but she made it in eventually. And throughout the year, she faced a lot of doubt, but she's also one of the hardest working people like that I've met who made it through the program. Like, she's so brilliant, and hearing her story is like super inspiring because I don't know if I would have, continued on for that long in the hunt. So find stories like that. I mean, I shouldn't say find stories like that, but I should say that if you are one of those people who it's taking you a while, just don't give up hope. If you're just getting in and you're just learning to code, it can take you 3 months for some people after a boot camp. I know people who it took 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year. Some people get a job like this before they even complete their boot camp. A lot of it is location dependent. A lot of it is time dependent. So I just want to let you know that it could just range. But you hear the success stories of boot camps every day. So just know that it could end up either way, but just don't give up faith. Just continue to level up your skills because your skills are in demand. The fourth thing I want to recommend is to find your niche. So a lot of people think that programmers are just doing non-meaningful work to some people, but the field is vast. Right now, I'm just working on recommendations for people, but at some point I want to move into security, cybersecurity, and like help people a lot more directly. You may have a passion for something else. I know people who, after 2 years in the field, they work for nonprofits. So normally nonprofits don't pay that good, but I mean, well, it pays decent living, maybe not a 6-figure salary, but maybe 70K or so. A lot of them, their passion is in the work. And if you've ever seen DBS, deep brain stimulation, that's a chip that they put in the brain of dystonia and Parkinson's patients. And these people, they're suffering from tremors and other involuntary movements. And because of the chip in their brain and programmers, they're able to stop the tremors in their body. Like, they can turn it on and off with a device. So if you go on YouTube, you can see that like a lot of work that programmers do is really meaningful, like programming planes. And if Neuralink ever comes to fruition, a lot of chronic pain patients are like waiting on that. Like, that's their savior for a lot of people. And whatever your passion is, whatever your niche is that you want to do, whether it's helping inner city kids, whatever passion and skill you have now, you can add that. You could put it together. Yeah. The next thing I would say is to find a routine. A routine will help you a lot because you'll be able to make incremental progress as you're going along. And if you've seen my blog, in my first post, I had no idea what I was doing. But looking back, I'm like, dang, I've come a long way. So finding a routine is really beneficial because you don't want to just start a project and then stop it and then start and then stop and not really get far. Just know that just being consistent and just being disciplined will, in the end, be to your benefit. And also another motivator, I would say, is to turn over every leaf. So one of the main things that motivated me even to go out on that street corner and hand out my resume was because I knew that there were still things that I had to do. So when I was like, okay, well, I have to have strong projects. And once I got the strong projects, it was like, okay, well, I know that I have to, like, I know I won't get hired unless I get good at algorithms and data structures. I got good at that. I learned every type of algorithm and data structure that I could learn. And then after that, I was like, I know I gotta apply to like 300 jobs at least, like all these guys on CS Career Questions on Reddit. So I'm like, okay, I gotta do that. And that's kind of what motivated me because I knew that I couldn't just throw in the towel and be like, it didn't work for me. Because I didn't try everything. So I knew I had to try everything. I'm not saying you gotta go on a street corner and hand out your resume. I'm just saying I tried everything that I could, that I heard that other people do. and that's what was a motivation for me. So make sure that you have your strong projects, not small basic YouTube projects, like strong projects, get strong at algorithms, apply to all those jobs, clean resume, clean LinkedIn, everything you have to do. I'll do another video on how I think you can get a job in tech another day, but make sure you try to turn over every leaf. I would also say to find a support network and people that believe in you, whether that's on Twitter, Meetup, in your church, in your family, because when you have people who believe in you, they're able to motivate you. Like, even when I was going through a lot of stuff, I would have family that would be like, you're smart, you could do this. And then, I would go to church and I would get prayer, and then it would just feel like magic. I'm like, okay, I think it's working. And then, like, my community also was on the internet. So having that support network, I would say, is really good. I don't want this video to get too long, so I'm going to try to move through really fast. Also, I would recommend that you take a step back and don't be afraid to take breaks. If you need to take a break for a few months, take it and then come back. Clear your mind, because you will benefit from it. You don't want to work yourself to the ground. Sometimes tech could, the job hunt could take you in a really dark place. Just take a step back, do what you gotta do to re-energize yourself, therapy, family, whatever. Do what you gotta do and come back stronger than ever with a new game plan and re-energized. It happens to the best of us. And I have just 3 more. Work on something you're excited about. For me, I started an app, wasn't finished, but it was about books, an online book club, and I would recommend you find your own app that you're passionate about. I know for a while it was hard for me because I couldn't think of anything. Everything that I already thought of was already existed. But if you can think of something you're passionate about, build it. And don't think about, oh, it's going to take me a month. Work on the MVP, the minimum viable product, and get it done, because when you go into that interview room or whatever, you could talk about it with passion. And you got your users, you got your front end, your back end, your database. Like that's the magic 3. Front end, back end, database. That's what impresses everybody. So if your project can have that, you'll be good. Exercise. Everyone knows that when you do cardio, your dopamine, whatever, goes up. That's a natural motivation. Try to get cardio. Lots of science about, working out and increasing motivation. And last thing is to listen to motivational speakers. I like Les Brown, and a lot of programs, a lot of channels on YouTube, like Mulligan Brothers, all those motivational channels, I like them. But Les Brown, his story is amazing. Like, I remember when I was standing on the street, even before I went there, all I had in my head is like, when he's like, you've got to be hungry. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be hungry. I recommend you watch his story. So he's a great motivational speaker. He's been through a lot and he's succeeded. Like, he's the best in the motivational world. So check him out. But anyways, I know this video got so long. I tried to just pick 5. I couldn't. So I hope that it motivates you. I hope that you watch the whole thing. But if you don't, wish you the best. Anyways, feel free to follow me on Instagram at, what's my Instagram name? Colorful Codes. Follow me on Twitter, Colorful Codes. Check out my blog, Colorful Codes blog. And yeah, wish you all the best, and thank you so much for joining my community. And yeah, take care and good luck. Bye.
And if you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famish, or gulf, sickness, or pain, or body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, If dogged and grim, you besiege and beset it, with the help of God, you'll get it. This is Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy, Leslie Calvin Brown, saying, it's been a plum-pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege. Thank you.